Good morning, Molo Sanbonani. Hello, how's it? Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. It is the Monday edition of Vuka Nazo. We're starting a new week here on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. So good morning, welcome to it. My name is Sihle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. And remember, if you want to get in touch with moi, well then find me on my website, will you? That's www.bigdaddyliberty.com. You can also find out on our website near the bottom of it how you can financially contribute to the show. As little as 100 Rand a month to 150 Rand a month is more than enough to help us produce this high quality content and actually to improve on the quality as we go along. With that being said, welcome to it. How about we get straight into the news? All right, we begin here this morning in Cape Town, specifically on the Cape Flats in Nyanga, Philippi, and Samora Machel, which resembled a war zone. And why? Well, it's the same old culprits, the illegal taxi operators in the area, the self-styled or self-described Amaphela, which is an interesting and rather odd name to give yourself, considering Amaphela is a Zulu or Xhosa word for cockroaches. So how's that one for a weird name to give yourself as a taxi operator? Well, these cockroach taxis, illegal taxi operators as they are, effectively taking it upon themselves to say to hell with law enforcement and the efforts by the City of Cape Town and the South African Police Service, who in a joint operation are embarking, of course, on a operation to check on the legal status of these vehicles, and indeed, in the course of it, impounding a lot of the unroadworthy and indeed the illegal vehicles. In response, of course, these taxi owners not taking exception to it, and then embarking on an almost terror-like campaign of destroying public property, torching Golden Arrow buses, and indeed even an almost terror-like campaign of torching police vehicles. But hey, don't take it from me. This is what the spokesperson for the South African Police Service in the area had to say in describing these scenes. The story, of course, in EWN, which reads like this. According to the police, 3 of the 4 vehicles were stoned and another partially burnt. Spokesperson for the police, that's A1 Frederick van Wyk, said in Brown's Farm, a security hut at the Nyanga clinic was set alight. One bus was set alight on the off-ramp to R300, from Mitchell's Plain, and a light delivery vehicle was burnt on Luzugo Road. Western Cape authorities have, of course, raised concerns about these life-threatening attacks on buses in the province, specifically Golden Arrow buses. End of quote. And indeed, that's exactly the buses that came under attack. Golden Arrow buses, which you'll know, of course, effectively operate extensively on the Cape Flats are in competition with public transport, or in this case, the cockroach taxis, Amaphela, in the area. So you can imagine, of course, that part of the campaign and the reasoning behind why they're targeting those is, well, from their perspective, if they are going to be stopped from operating by law enforcement, well then, in their case, they'll probably look at other public transport and try and stop that too, its competitors that is, from competing. Someone who rightly points this out and makes this particular point, especially in relation to the larger case of this kind of disruption, and indeed the targeted, almost syndicate-like targeting of alternative public transport in Cape Town from trains and buses in order to create a artificial monopoly, if I can call it that, of taxi operators, is the Mako member for safety in the City of Cape Town, that's A1 JP Smith, who in an interview on Cape Talk effectively had this to say when he was asked the question, is he certain that this is the taxi operators who are doing this?
JP, are you absolutely certain it's all taxi operators? 100%.
The persons who assembled this morning, yes, that was arrived in Amaphela's, the sedan taxis, the term that they themselves ascribe, and had meetings, then broke up into groups and went off in different directions, started doing these blockades. There were notes or threats circulated and tip-offs from within the industry that they had assembled finances to pay hitmen to target traffic officers and city vehicles. This is not a new thing. This has happened frequently. There was a traffic officer killed last week, but that appears to be unrelated to the taxi violence, or perhaps not. But it certainly is dangerous for the staff out there, and our staff are taking great care. We have quite a large number of staff, over 270 working in the areas, and we've just withdrawn staff from other parts of the city to help patrol the main routes in and around Nyanga to try and protect private vehicles and buses, because much of the attack here is constantly focused on gabs.
Yes.
Because the real goal, of course, here is to eliminate public transport competition, much like the trains were eliminated.
All right, so you can see here, folks, that this is a very, or rather you heard from JP, that this is a very serious matter. And it's one that borders on the lines of actual terrorism in a sense, insofar as it is a purposeful, almost targeted attack of not only state infrastructure, but terrorizing other residents into basically complying with their rule of the mob. And again, don't take it from me. JP speaks, of course, about how initially these taxi operators held a meeting in the morning and then dispersed into these various attack groupings. Well, the attack groupings targeted two sets of infrastructure in their wanton disregard, of course, of public infrastructure and lives. The first were the actual Golden Arrow buses, which you can see here were up in flames. Can you imagine the terror of trying to flee scenes? Maybe even you were on the bus at the time, scrambling to get out, as these buses often catch fire quite easily. And the fires can be rather intense and life-threatening. Indeed, one Golden Arrow bus driver is in hospital as we speak with rather severe injuries after having been assaulted, allegedly, by these marauding mobs of illegal taxi operators in the area. Other scenes, of course, included these operators allegedly, that is, targeting law enforcement. I mean, destroying police vehicles, as you can see in this particular clip, where they literally targeted law enforcement, and one can imagine why they did this. On the one hand, it was, of course, to destroy their competitors, as JP Smith alleges, but in the other, to also hamstrung the response by law enforcement. If you're burning police vehicles, then de facto that means there are no police vehicles and no police officers that can respond to their campaign of terror across the city. So this is a very dangerous situation, and one which requires the City of Cape Town and the South African Police Services, including a certain asshat of a police minister, to actually pull their socks up and say, here is where we draw the line. We will enforce the law. We will ensure that the residents of the Cape Flats, whether it's in Nyanga, Philippi, or Samora Machel, wherever, actually can begin to enjoy greater safety and not be beholden to the rule of the mob. All right, and I'll end it off here this morning. I'll try and keep the Monday shows a little bit shorter. Good news, dear South African, good news, finally. Albeit it comes with a little bit of a double-edged sword, insofar as on the one side of the sword, the petrol price, the fuel price is going down. You can expect from Wednesday, goody gumdrops in a couple of days, for the price to drop in petrol, diesel, and illuminating paraffin. The article I read on this is in Fin24, which effectively citing the Central Energy Fund, those statists who control the price in this country, said the following. According to the latest data from the Central Energy Fund, the price of 95 unleaded petrol is expected to fall by around R2.35 a litre on Wednesday, goody gumdrops, and the price of 93 petrol could drop by around R2.18, yum. Diesel, which is where I fall, my poor Bucky. Anyway, diesel looks set to be reduced by between 77 and 87 cents a litre. End of quote. Sigh. Would it be nice if diesel was also enjoying 2 rand like reductions in the price, because as I said, this is a double-edged sword. For as much as these prices are coming down sharply, they still aren't matching where the prices were just a few months ago in May, for example, where they were hovering around the 19 rand mark at that point. So clearly much more needs to happen to see the price return down to much more manageable prices. And I don't mean 19 rand a litre is manageable. It should be going down, and it should rather go down even further than that, just to give us some reprieve, some breathing space as consumers in this country. It's amazing how it's always us, the faith, flag, family, and freedom type South Africans, the God-fearing, law-abiding, and family-orientated South Africans who wake up every day to go to work, or wake up every day to run our businesses, small to large, who try and make ends meet. It's always us who are having to tighten our belts and endure these high prices, the inflation, and of course these spikes in the fuel prices, where the drops, the reduction in these prices are always so minuscule compared to the increase of them. So this is one of those few stories where, yes, as I said, it is good news that the price is going down, but it's still going down off of record highs, which you and I are paying a heavy price for. All right, folks, we wrap it up here on the Monday edition of Vuka Nazo. I did get all of your feedback. I super appreciate it. And a lot of you guys are seemingly quite happy with the show. Well, if you are happy with the show, please, guys, I really encourage you to support the show financially. We're looking to hire, as I've always promised, some correspondents, actually guys who can help create and generate news stories, hard news that we can share with you on this platform and on the Wednesday show, of course, which is the Big Daddy Liberty Show, Wednesdays at 7:30. So with your contributions, we can make that happen. How can you contribute, you're wondering? Well, visit my website, www.bigdaddyliberty.com. Scroll down to the bottom and you can pledge 100 to 150 Rand a month to the show and help us make that reality, or that dream rather, actually become a reality. With that being said, all of my social media details are also in the descriptor of the video, so make sure you get in touch with us there. And with that being said, a reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, do me a solid favor, hit that subscribe button, and of course, like the show and hit the bell notification so that every weekday from 7 a.m. you'll be notified when Vuka Nazo is on your screen. Have a great morning.